Good morning. Feeling good, feeling large, but feeling good. Thank you. So I will stall for another minute by talking like I always do at the beginning. Maybe tilt the screen down just a little, at least at first. So I believe this is week 8 of doing this way. I can't believe it's been that long. And I know sometimes I give us little themes for the week. This week, really, we're looking at the whole body. We're going to be doing a little more standing again and trying to sustain some things that we've been working on for a while over a longer period of time. If anyone's a little newer to joining us, welcome. Pilates, my quick, dirty version of my spiel on Pilates is it is very slow and controlled in general. It's really about muscle engagement and precision and stability versus mobility, trying to help keep muscles engaged to support your movement without feeling like you're restricting movement or tensing up and tightening. That said, you're going to hear throughout the hour today a lot of me asking you to keep your abdominals pulled in and up. Different images work for different people. An idea of kind of trying to avoid someone poking you at the belly button and letting that kind of help you draw your abdominals in and up. Similar to the feeling of a fully exhaled breath as you kind of lift your abdominals to help your diaphragm lift. Or the idea of an umbrella or even one of those artificial Christmas trees where you would kind of squeeze the pole and lift, that idea of tightening around the core to kind of lift and support upward. All of those images can kind of help us engage our deep core rather than what I call our glamour muscles on top. We're not looking for six-pack abs. I'm certainly not. But really that deep core that supports your spine, supports your movement, helps you create stability so that you can move. And always, always, always continuing to breathe. So if you ever notice that you're clenching your abdomen so hard that you're not taking full deep breaths, take a moment and come out of whatever exercise you're in and come back to it, really fully breathing. I see some messages. Hello, hi, hello everyone. And we will get going. Hopefully I've talked long enough that anybody who's going to join us is here. So we're going to start just by finding good alignment in our chair. I often talk to you about keeping your knees and your hips in alignment, and you might notice that mine have started to sneak out a little bit to give myself some room. But ideally, you're going to sit with your hips, your knees, your ankles, your toes all in a straight line. Letting your sits bones be evenly in the chair, that you can feel yourself on both hips equally, not kind of tilted to one side or the other. Not letting your tailbone roll back towards the chair, that kind of starts to create this slouch, but keeping it lifted without sticking out. So our tailbone is dropping straight down, not letting it kind of roll forward or backward. Shoulders are melted down away from the ears. They have nothing to do yet, so they are relaxed. Spine is lifted from that deep abdominal support and just from the lengthening that happens through breath. And imagining that you were just gently lifted out through the crown of your head. Take a moment to sit that way, find some good supported alignment. Start to notice your abdominals, the way they're gently engaged just to keep your spine straight. And take 3 deep breaths this way. Feeling the length that comes into the spine with each inhale. Also the width along the back of your rib cage. From here, just drop your chin to your chest and take a gentle head roll around to one side. Keep it going around. The next time your chin reaches your chest, reverse directions. And the next time your chin reaches your chest, you can bring your head back up to neutral. Bringing the shoulders up by the ears, drawing them back and down along the spine, taking some gentle shoulder rolls. Continuing to breathe. This is just beginning to wake up our body. And reverse direction, pulling the shoulders up, forward along the ears and driving them down in front. And coming to rest, letting your hands either rest on your thighs or at the side of your chair. We're going to lift the chest and the sternum towards the ceiling, allowing an arch in the back, but by going up and back as opposed to arching from our lower back. We want to keep that lower spine supported, but just lifting and arching back. And then a gentle round. So you are going to let your tailbone curve forward, your shoulders and your head curve forward as if you were going to make a C shape, which I can no longer do. So lifting through the sternum, rounding through the spine. Inhale to lift. Exhale to curve. Really beginning to connect to the idea of movement being connected and driven by your breath. Inhaling to lift and expand through the chest. Exhaling to contract, allowing that deepening feeling of contraction. One more. Lift. Exhale. And coming back to neutral. Checking in with your hips again, that you're really on both evenly and not rolled back into your tailbone. You're gonna breathe the arms in and up. You can either leave them apart, which I know you can't see that my hands are not clasped, but they're not. Or you can bring the fingers together and clasp the arms, working to straighten the elbows while keeping the shoulders dropped, not letting them sneak up. We're going to take a gentle lean to one side, but really continuing to drive that opposite hip down so that it is a stretch through the side and the ribs and not lifting up out of the chair. And back up, other side. Inhaling up, exhaling over. Continuing to keep those hips evenly in the chair, those arms energetically reaching long. Deepening your breath. And up, arms down. Take a little shoulder roll, shake it out. Ooh, excuse me. We're going to breathe the arms back in and up. And from here, we're going to exhale. Your arms are going to press as if they're pressing against some resistance. We're going to use that to gently twist our spine. This is still a warm up. So we're not going for your greatest range of motion here. Just as far as you can twist your spine to start to wring out your insides, warm up your insides and your spine in all dimensions, but also keeping your pelvis stable. So your knees are going to stay towards the front. If they start to twist with you, you're kind of defeating the purpose. So take a deep breath and reach up. Exhale, twist and press. Inhale up. Exhale, twist and press. Inhale up. Exhale, twist. Inhale up. Exhale, twist. Keep going. Feel the opposition of your knee pulling towards the front of the room as you twist against that leg. Inhale up. See if you can let each exhale help you feel the deepening of that lower abdominal support. Inhale up. Last set. Inhale up. Exhale. Inhale up, back to center. Exhale, bring the arms down. Roll out the shoulders, shift in the spine. We're going to do one more sort of warm-up movement before we move into arms, abs, legs. We're going to kind of do it in that sequence today. Or more arms, abs, standing, because we're going to add a little more standing today. So our last warm-up movement, I'm going to turn my chair sideways so you can see what I'm asking you to do, hopefully. Although I am not going to be the best body to watch. We're going to start with our half roll down, which if you've been with us, you're very familiar with. Reaching long out to the front, keeping energy through the arms, keeping energy through the spine, but allowing an exhale and a deepening of the contraction from the bottom of the abdominals, scooping the belly button in and up to allow us to gently curve back towards the back of our chair so the pelvis tilts. There's a gentle curve through the spine and return, and then shifting forward as if we were going to slide the backs of our arms along a table, reaching long forward and returning. Going with your range of motion. You might have a really lovely deep curve and hollowed and a really lovely long reach, and that's wonderful. Or you might be a little more limited like I am, keeping things a little more subtle. This is still about a warm-up. So we're going to exhale, round, inhale up, exhale, reach forward, and up, and nice and slow. Continuing to do it with the rhythm of your breath. Exhale forward. Exhale, curve. Inhale up. Exhale forward. Keep going. Exhale. Woo. And exhale forward. She no longer likes to be squeezed the way I'm trying to squeeze her. Last set. Exhale, contract and round. Exhale forward and up, and bring your arms back down. I promise I won't go into labor during the video. Bring yourself back to front. Taking a deep breath. We're going to move on to some arms, isolating into the arms and the chest a little bit. I know I've said this before, but as we begin to use our arms expansively, we want to go for full range of motion in the shoulder and even through the sternum and the shoulder blades. But what we don't want to do is start to let our ribs splay out and take us out of alignment. So if you're starting to notice that kind of the whole front of you is moving forward and open, use those abdominals to kind of corset you back in just a little bit and pay attention to alignment in your spine, that it's still vertical and not coming into this forward bulge towards the world, which is kind of fun to do, but not what we're looking for. So from here, we're simply going to raise the arms up with a breath until arms are in alignment with the ears, and then exhale, bring them down as if you're really resisting something. So I want you to feel the resistance, feel the engagement of the arms, as if you're pushing through peanut butter, and back along as high as you can bring them behind you without having to lean into it. Inhaling up, exhaling down. With the breath. Inhale up, exhale down. Checking in with those ribs. And exhale down. Your breath pace might be a little different than mine, and that's fine. You go with your breath. Exhale, pressing down. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, pressing down. 2 more. Inhale, lifting up. Exhale, pressing down. Inhaling up. Exhale, pressing down and back. And relax. Straight into the next arm exercise. We're going to inhale, lifting them up. Bring them down into right angles This one should be very familiar. We're going to keep our elbows in line with our shoulders, so not letting them start to drop. Bringing the elbows and the arms together, trying to touch from the elbows and the forearms, not the hands, which allows the elbows to kind of splay out, but really thinking about elbows first, so that even if you can't touch, there's still that stretch of range of motion. Inhaling open, exhaling closed. Inhaling open, exhaling closed. Now, believe it or not, you should be feeling your lower abdominals helping support this movement, particularly on the exhale and the closing to bring your arms forward. Your lower core is still engaging, lifting in and up, tightening to support this coming to midline. Two more. Last one. Inhaling the arms up and down. One more arm exercise. I like two more arm exercises. The next one we're going to do is bring the arms in and up, coming back down into this right angle. But from here, if you have more room to go down, continuing to draw the elbows down, but doing it as if you were flat back against a wall. So you're keeping your elbows and your arms in alignment with your shoulders, or possibly even a little further open. And allowing that pull to happen, again, as if you were pulling against a resistance band. You can even give yourself fists, if that helps you with that imagery. Pulling down, keeping the elbows pulled back towards the spine and the ribs. And exhaling down. Keeping those arms open and back. Keeping your lower core engaged, belly button pulling in and up along the spine. And inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Two more. One. Last one. And up. Bring the arms down. Roll the shoulders out if you need to. Shake them out. One more arm exercise before we move on. We're going to bring the arms up towards our sides. We're going to come across in front. Cross, cross, and open. Cross, cross, open. Cross, cross. Now here is where we're starting to use our abdominals for the sake of stabilizing. So it is very easy to find ourselves sort of bouncing forward and back in response to this. And we're trying to use our core to keep the rest of us stable, vertical, calm, still waters, while our arms cross, cross, open. Cross, cross, open. Cross, open. Two more. I like two more from here. Last two. And floating down. All right, shake it out. Take a moment, get a drink of water. If I can figure out where to put mine, I'll get a drink. And then we'll move on. We're going to move on to a little bit of an abdominal series, very brief, abbreviated abdominal series today, so that we have more time to stand and do a little more stretching even at the end. Take a drink, take a second. I'm going to turn my chair sideways now to try to demonstrate a little bit better. We're going to use a lot of that half roll down position that we used earlier. So the idea of exhaling, allowing that to round the pelvis forward just a little bit, round your middle back towards the chair. But again, as I've said before, not allowing the top to collapse over, So it's not about condensing, it's about keeping a nice full space, but rounding it backwards. I know it's very hard to see what I'm trying to say, but the feeling is there. If you feel it happening through your pelvis, through your lower abdominals, chances are you've got that feeling, right? If you're feeling a stretch between your shoulder blades, you might be isolating a little too far up top, and you can bring it a little more from the lower abdominals to round you up. So we're going to roll down into that half roll down position. And from here, we're simply going to do a thigh lift, touch our knee, and switch. Up, up. So you're still breathing. You can breathe at your normal, regular pace. But along with that breath, you're keeping your lower abdominals engaged, pulling in and up from below the belly button. Now, if you're starting to notice that your spine is bothering you, that you're feeling some aching in the back, and you want to come back up to sitting and just work on these thigh lifts, that's fine. Or you can deepen that engagement in your abdominals by rolling them down. Keeping space between your chin and your chest. We're just going to keep going with a few of these today. So today is more about repetition over time and doing a little less, changing it up. 2 more each side. So this is 1 set, 2 set. Bring your arms forward, back up to sitting neutral, arms down. Take a deep breath. Okay, we're going to just do extended leg lifts. You can do this with a half roll down, again, deepening that core engagement, or you can do it from a seated, vertical seated position. I might do a little bit of both, depending. If you're going to do the half roll down, begin with your arms here. Exhale, allowing your gentle round and reach. A little lean back through the middle, back towards the back of your chair. Extending one leg out in front of you on a low angle and lifting through the thigh. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going for 15, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Bringing it down without coming up. Other leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Bringing yourself up, giving yourself a little stretch and round forward as far as you're able to go. Bringing yourself back up to sitting. We're going to do it one more time, each leg, 15 on each side. We're going to start with the opposite leg. So whichever leg you just finished with, we're going to start there this time. Taking a half roll down if you like. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Other leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Bringing yourself back up and then relax. Whew. It's a little warm where I am right now, so I'm going to take another drink of water and then we'll move on. I'm going to turn my chair back to you. We're going to add a thigh lift to those spinal twists that we were doing earlier. You can leave your hands here by the sides of your head, but I would ask just to touch them to kind of remind you where your hands are, but never grabbing your head and pulling on it. So we're not relying on our head to keep our arms in place. It's simply a reference point. And from there, we're going to exhale as we twist. Inhale as we come center. Exhale to twist. Inhale to come center. We're doing an opposing thigh lift. So you're going to lift the thigh in the direction that you're twisting and return. I don't really have much room to do a thigh lift, but I want you to imagine that almost as if somebody were coming underneath you to scoop your leg up for you, that it comes with that exhale as like a lift. rather than feeling like you've got to grip in your hips to hoist it up from the top. So it's being lifted from the bottom. Also, we're going to keep our spines nice and long and tall, our elbows even with our shoulders, so we don't need to come down towards our knee. We're twisting around to the back of the wall while lifting in opposition. We're going to do 15, 16, to keep it even. So a little more today than we've been doing in the past. And do your best. Here we go. Inhale. Exhale, twist. 3, 4, 5, 7. Inhale, front. Exhale. This is 10, 11, 14. Last 2. And relax. Hopefully you can get a slightly deeper twist and thigh lift than I can. But no matter where you are, you're definitely going to get something out of it. If you are finding your limitations, that means you're pushing them forward. So that is going to be the last for our ab series. We're going to do one more seated exercise, a little bit of a seated stretch, and then we're going to move to standing for most of the rest of the time. So from here, I think I'm going to move my chair back just a little. Hopefully you can see a little better that way. We're going to go back to our arms for a second, but I wanted to do this one after we had sort of started to engage our abs and our legs because they're going to support us in this. We're going to do a pretty traditional tricep dip if you're comfortable with that. If not, you can still use the motion the way that we do without weights, maybe in our earlier arm exercises, and still get benefits from this exercise. So if you are interested in doing the traditional chair dip, tricep dip chair, you're going to place your hands right in line with your hips in the seat, and then slowly you're going to take 2 steps forward and bring yourself just to the edge of the chair. From here, as if you were trying to keep your elbows touching towards each other, so you want to keep your elbows moving towards each other behind your back, not letting them rotate out. You're going to let yourself lower down just a little and slow. And back up. Now with this, make sure that you are not letting it happen in just your shoulders, that your shoulders are coming up to your ears and retreating. And also, we're really going to use our deep core here. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to get it engaged before we started doing these. You're going to use your lower abdominals, your hips, your glutes to keep yourself supported. You can also put weight into your legs so that it doesn't have to be your whole body into your arms, but instead, everything is engaging to help you lower and raise back up again. If this feels like too much for you, or if you do 5 of them and realize you don't want to get to 10, which is all we're going to do, then you can do the same motion by sitting in the chair. You're going to bring your arms back behind you and trying to get the elbows to stay close together and then pressing back down again. So bringing the elbows back towards each other and down. You're going to feel that just as much. So here we go. 10. Walking yourself forward and 1, 2. Elbows squeezing towards each other. Abdominals supported. 4, 5. Shoulders down away from the ears. 7, 8, 9, 10. And bringing yourself back on. We're going to do another set. You can join me or take it as a rest. Also, the further you walk your legs away from yourself, the more you're going to put that weight in your arms. If you're really trying to get some killer arms right now, you can do that. The more you keep your feet underneath you, the more you're going to be able to put some weight into your legs. Or you can take this set simply as a slow, controlled motion. Another 10. Here we go. Taking a step forward, so I'm going to shift myself forward off the chair, and 1, 2, elbows together, 3, shoulders down, abs engaged, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bringing myself back to the chair. Shake them out, take a deep breath, get a drink of water if you need it. That's it for chair exercises. We're going to stretch a little and move to standing. Back towards you. There we are. All right, from here, really gentle melt down through the spine to take a forward spinal stretch. You're just going to let gravity pull you down towards the floor. Drop your chin to your chest. Allow the weight of your head to continue to pull your head forward towards your toes. I can no longer lay on my thighs, but the idea being that you're just going to round over as far as you're comfortable going. Your spine will let you go. And let gravity pull you out long. Let gravity hang you. I'm going to do this standing because that's the only way I have room, but you're welcome to remain seated for this. So if I'm going to do it standing, I'm just going to let gravity pull out my spine. Maybe I can give a little head shake, a nod, make sure my neck is not stiff and tense. My arms are noodly. Taking a good round forward. And when you're ready to roll up, rolling up one vertebrae at a time from the bottom of the spine, restacking yourself slowly. Until your head is the last thing to come up. Take a deep breath. We're going to take one more round over in the spine that way. Drop your chin towards your chest. Slowly letting yourself ooze forward, fully release. Breathing easily, head relaxed, arms relaxed. They can swing. They're really nice and softened over into your thighs. From here, I'm going to do my best. I'll do it from standing position. You're going to reach your left hand towards the ground and gently reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. This is in favor of a stretch. So we're not pushing for our biggest range of motion, but really just trying to help open up our spines and release some of the work that we've done in those twists. We're going to drop back down and open up the other arm. And drop that back down and gently roll yourself back up to sitting. There we are. So from here, we're going to move into a lot of standing exercises today. Most of them, all of them, should be able to do from a seated position if you need to. And I will do my best to talk you through the 2 different versions of all of these things. However, a few of them are definitely meant to work a little better standing. And so with that, I would ask you to have patience if you do need to sit, or if you start out trying to stand, and realize you need to sit and take a break. Always do that. Please do that. Whether it's just to sit and catch your breath, or whether you want to sit and keep going, but you just need more support. So we're going to move to standing. I'm going to move my chair this way. Hopefully help demonstrate a little better. There. I think you can see most of me today, which is lovely. We're going to start just by finding our standing posture and alignment. So the same way that we look for even stability while sitting, a nice dropped tailbone, relaxed shoulders, length through the spine and the head. Soft in the knees. So the whole time you're standing, if you're the person who tends to lock back into straight knees and maybe even kind of push your lumbar spine forward, you want to try to keep those knees softened so that you get all of the circulation and also you're not putting pressure on your back and your joints. Take a deep breath here. One more deep breath. Using the chair for support if you need it, we're going to go into our toe heel rocks. So coming forward onto the toes, maybe just enough to test your balance, or maybe you want to get a little more work out of it and you're going to come all the way up into a calf raise, up onto your tippy toes, the balls of your feet, and then rocking back into the heels. So rocking forward and back. Again, this is really about stabilizing and balancing, finding your balance, finding points of stability, finding the place in your foot that transitions from being forward to backward, testing that range if you'd like, or simply using it to help you find a good sense of being centered and grounded. Again, making sure it's happening from a full shift of the whole pelvis and not by tilting through the pelvis, bending in half, but keeping that nice long spine. A few more here, making sure you're breathing. And settling. From here, again, you continue to use the chair if you need to, or you can bring both arms up. And we're going to go back into those side tilts. The same way we do in the chair, we want to think about anchoring that opposite hip so that our pelvis stays in alignment. And lean to the side, keeping space along the ribs on both sides and bringing it back to the top. So again, keeping this opposite pelvis dropped, not letting it start to shift side to side, but keeping it centered. We just did all of that work to feel what it felt like to be balanced front and back. And now we want to feel what it feels like to be balanced between our feet side to side. If you want to take a slightly wider stance to help support this, you certainly can. I'm going to bring myself narrowed again. One more each side. And up. And up. Arms down. Using the back of our chair, we're going to turn and face the back of our chair from behind. You're going to place your hands gently on the back of the chair. Move a little further forward, I think, so you can see me pretty well. And you're just going to walk your feet back until you find flat back. As always, checking in that the hips, the knees, and the ankles are all stacked one over top of another so that you're not pushing back past your heels and you're not locking into your knees. You can allow the head to drop so that your ears are in alignment with your arms and your shoulders. Taking it first just as a nice long stretch in the spine and the hamstrings. But from here, we're going to turn it into an exercise. So you are going to engage those arms, press down through the triceps, pulling the shoulders away from the ears, gently lifting the sternum and the head, just to peek up and through the arms, and lowering them down. So pushing with the arms to support a lift in the chest, and back down. I am truly pushing through my hands. And back down. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower. Inhale, lift. Continuing to keep yourself supported through your abdomen. Those abs are still lifting in and up, keeping your lower back supported. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, lift. Exhale, release. Two more. Inhale, lift. I caught myself locking into my knees, checking with yours. Last one. And release. Soften through the knees, round through the spine to walk yourself back forward. Just a minute. From here, we're going to do, I think we did this one last week, but I'm going to give you kind of a way to deepen into this exercise today. So, what I will call medium version, the standing version, is that we're going to take one step back, maybe a foot width apart, maybe a little more, into a small, gentle lunge. You can lean forward into that a little bit so that you've got this nice long diagonal from your head to your back foot. And keeping that gentle forward lean, you pull your foot in and press it back. So you're keeping this bend, you're keeping this diagonal, and you're bringing the knee forward and pushing it back. Bringing it in forward and pushing it back. If you want to deepen the crunch to the front and bring it up a little higher, you certainly can. That's version 1. That's the medium. If you want to deepen this today, you can come to the front of your chair and place your hands here so you're a little more towards flat back. Still going to keep this supporting knee bent. So you're going to start by lunging out so that you have a good sense of where your lunge is, and then bringing this in and pushing it out. So you're deepening how much your core has to work to support your spine. You're also deepening some of the work that's happening in your quad. You're asking it to support a little more of your weight. And we'll go from here. If you need to sit, if this is not your piece of pie, you can also do this by turning yourself sideways on your chair, doing a small thigh lift, and extending it back behind you. So it's just a little bit different. You can still get that range of motion, that movement forward and back in the spine or in the thigh. So we're going to do 10 on each leg and take a break and see how we feel. I'm going to do the version with my hands in the seat. So beginning with taking a small lunge so that you've established that bend in the supporting leg. And sliding it back and again. 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bringing it in. Establishing that lunge on the other leg. And 1, 2, keeping those shoulders pulled down away from your ears. 3, 4, 5, 6, oops, got my toe on the floor. 7, 8, 9, and bringing both feet together, rounding through your back to roll up to standing. Take a second. We're going to go back into it, 10 more on each side. If you need to sit and take a break, if you need to do it a little more standing and kind of turn your chair back around, do it from a more upright position, please do. Otherwise, here we go again. So, hands in the seat on the back of the chair. Start by establishing that lunge, and then bringing it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Swapping up the feet, establishing that lunge. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Bringing your feet together, rounding up through your spine to stand. Shaking the knees out, shaking the hips out if you need to. Take a moment, take a breath. From here, we're going to stand probably behind our chairs if you need the support of the chair. I'm going to do it off to the side just so you can see me a little better. And I know I'm kind of like cutting myself off at the head. I feel like I'm trying to balance what you can see on both ends, given how close I am to the laptop that I'm using. From here, we're going to take a small side lunge. Knees, toes, facing forward. So not turning out to the side, keeping them forward. It's a very small lunge this way. We're not going for width. It's just enough to kind of establish some weight into this glute, into this leg. And from here, shifting back to standing. And then a side lift if you want. So You can either just work on these side lunges, keeping that knee in alignment, feeling what it feels like to shift your weight on and pull yourself back off, or you can add to that by getting here and doing a side lift. Now, when you lift from the side, we're not going for height again. So you're going to keep your knee and your toes facing the front, and it's about lifting to the side. I can get my leg higher if I rotate it out. I'm not worried about height. I want this to have to engage. I want my medial glutes to have to work. So we're keeping our toes and our knees facing front. We're going to do 10 to each side. Take a deep breath in. Here we go. Lunge. And lift. Lunge. Breathing easy, but using that core to support you. Looking for stability, smoothness in our movement. We want to kind of round everything out, make it nice and even. I have no idea. I stopped counting because I was talking. I'm hoping this is 7. If you know you've gotten to 10 before I get there, go ahead and stop. 8, 9, 10. Other side. 1, 2, 3. Using that deep core. Keep pulling your abdominals in and up. Keeping your knees and your toes facing front of the room. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And cross. One more standing exercise before we move back to just sitting and cooling down for the day. We did this one last week as well. I'm going to show it to the front and to the side to demonstrate. But they are just gentle forward and back leg swings. I'm saying swings because of the arc of the motion, but not because of the freedom and the flow of the movement. So I want to kind of put that out there. We are looking for stability in the pelvis, that word stability that I love, that we want to keep our pelvis even, not one hip higher than the other, and certainly not our torso tilting forward and back or our pelvis tilting forward and back. And all we're going to do is bring our leg up to the front and bring it through and lift in the back. Up to the front and through the back. So you'll notice in order to do that, I'm having to put a lot of, you might not notice, but I'm going to tell you, I'm having to put a lot of attention into my standing leg to make sure that I'm not sinking into this hip in a way that prevents me from getting my foot behind me because it hits the floor. So I'm thinking about creating space in my actual hip between my thigh and my pelvis. I'm thinking about that being long and tall. And also, if you were sitting from the side, I'm really thinking about trying to keep my pelvis more or less stable front and back. So I'm not tilting under and rocking forward in opposition. I'm really letting the leg isolate in that movement. We're going to do 10 on each side. You have an option here to keep your toes facing the front, or if it puts a little ease in your hips, to let your toes work their way out just maybe an inch to the side to give a little bit of rotation, just to help you find some stability and openness in your hips. That's up to you. 1, to the back. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oops, I got a little unstable in that last one. Shake it out. Change sides. And 1. Whew. My less stable leg, you can tell. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can see a little more movement in my pelvis here. This is clearly not my good leg. 9, but I'm working on it, and that's the point. 10. There will be movement. Don't get mad at yourself for noticing movement, for seeing some shifting, but the point is to recognize it and engage it, and that's how it's going to build that skill. So my left leg, not my best leg, but I'm working on it. We're going to move back to sitting now. Take a moment. Whew. You know, I probably should have done a standing lunge stretch, but we're going to do a sit-in because I already told you to sit down. So from here, shift yourself off to one side of the chair. Allow one thigh to drop. If you can, you might need to hold on to the other side of the chair for stability. And you're just going to let that thigh, that knee, drop down towards the floor to allow stretch through the front of the hip and the quad. If this is uncomfortable for you, depending on your chair, and you'd rather move back to standing in order to get a nice kind of quad stretch or a lunge to get some space there, please do that. I just already told you to sit, so I'm going to stick with it. I'm bringing it back up and shifting to the other side. Dropping that leg down, getting a good stretch. And bringing yourself back to center. We're going to go back to the cat-cow that we did at the beginning. So hands on your thighs or backside of your chair. Lifting gently through the sternum, looking up. Inhale. Exhale. Round through the spine. Inhale, lift. Exhale, round. Inhale, lift. Allowing the pelvis to begin to get into it gently, while also maintaining support through your abdominals so that you're not putting pressure into overstretching your lower back. But our pelvis did a lot of work today, and it deserves to stretch out as well. Last one, inhale up. Exhale. And coming back to sitting. We actually are going to give our pelvis a minute just to kind of ease up and loosen out. You can think of this as hula-ing or hula hooping or a bowl rolling around in a motion, because our pelvis really is a bowl. So if you had a really nice round bowl and you kind of rolled it on the edges on the counter, that's what we're going to do with our pelvis. So we're just going to take gentle circles, kind of shifting it forward, over to one side, and back to the tailbone. Letting it kind of loosen up, finding the weight all the way around. Sits bone forward, sits bone, tailbone. Letting your spine and your abdomen be a little more loose, just to kind of roll it out. And we're going to reverse direction. If you notice that you're still gripping in your quads or your hips because you were doing some work there and they're still wanting to kind of clench and work, try to see if you can get them to relax. Tell them they can let go. One more roll. And pause. Take a deep breath in. Exhale. Let your head drop, round through the spine, toward your toes. I can only go so far. And roll yourself back up to sitting. Take another deep breath in. From here, cradle one knee, pull it in and up. Let it kind of drop back into the hip. So let the weight of the thigh just kind of fall into the hip for a moment. Cross at your ankle if you're able to cross across the knee. If you can't get your ankle this high and you want to establish it a little further down the leg, that's fine. Here, allowing the thigh to drop open. You don't need to push it open. You can kind of let gravity do that for you. And if you want to deepen the stretch, leaning your whole torso forward towards your leg. And take 3 deep breaths here. Exhale. Scooping that knee back up and placing it down. Other leg, scooping that knee up, letting it drop, that hip drop back into the socket, crossing over at the ankle, allowing the thigh to fall open with the weight of gravity. You want to deepen this stretch, leaning forward towards that leg. And take 3 deep breaths here. Knees up to sitting, cradling that leg, pulling it in, letting it drop. From here, deep breath in, reach up. Exhale, float the arms down. We are going to take just a moment to kind of, I don't want to say self-massage, although that's what you want to do, go for it. But really just to use our fingers to kind of walk along the back of our necks, our shoulders, down our sternum, maybe our ribs, our lower back, as more of a tactile reminder to different parts of our body that can engage today to start to loosen up and let go. And if you find areas where you really are maybe tense, sore, having a hard time releasing, right now I can definitely feel that my quads just want to like stay gripped, then you can give them some pressure and kind of give them that gentle reminder to let go. So take a deep breath in, beginning with the back of the neck. Just kind of walk the fingers along the back of your neck, the tops of your shoulders, across your chest. If you want to walk them down your arms, our arms definitely worked today. Maybe even some squeezes. Take them back along your ribs or the back of your ribs, your lower spine. Again, this is that tactile reminder, like, hey, let go. Take a deep breath. Walking them around the sides of your hips, into the fronts of your hips, down your quads. Like I said, I'm feeling the quads, so I'm going to really give them some pressure and tell them it's okay. Go. Walking it all the way down your calves, towards your feet, your ankles, your toes. I'm going to go this far. So that's as far as I can go. And walking them back up. Taking another deep breath in, reach up. Exhale. Press it down. Inhale, open the arms back, sending the thumbs towards the back of the room. Exhale, cross, reach for your shoulder blades, lift your handles. Take a deep breath here, lift the sternum. Exhale, drop the chin towards the chest, round. Inhaling yourself back up to sitting. Clasping fingers. Exhaling, pulling your sternum away from your hands. They're going to move in opposition. Inhaling up. Putting your hands down. Clasping behind your back. You're going to move your hands towards the chair while you move your sternum towards the ceiling. Inhaling, lift. Exhaling, return. One more deep breath in, reach up. Letting go. Shake it out, bounce it out. Take another deep breath, whatever you need to do. Thank you so much for joining me. My plan is to see you one more time next week, probably be my last one. I don't know how much more I can actually help you out, but I am so grateful that you guys have been joining me each week, and I hope you have a beautiful rest of your week.